Well, hello everyone, Tex88 here. Welcome to part 4 of 4 of my review of Beverly Hills Cop. And now I'm going to be looking at the fourth and final part of the game. And I've really not been impressed with what I've seen and experienced thus far. And I'm hoping that there'll be some redeeming feature in this fourth and final section of the mission to perhaps pique my interest a bit more than has happened thus far. Control options. So now we're inside the mansion. Now I've got to find a hostage that's within the mansion, which I've now just entered after having got to it at the end of part 3, even though I didn't. But, and if that's not painful enough, if you've managed to find the hostage, then they'll tell you there's a bomb in the building, and that will be set off if the big bad boy is found by the police. So let's get this last bit out of the way. Oh boy, I really hope this is better than the other 3 sections, because those were really quite crap. Oh, so it's a oh, I see. When there's an enemy on screen, I automatically switch to. Controls are a bit slippery in this. Why? No one in here. Oh, the controls of that crosshair are a bit skitty. Oh, blooming hell! The controls are a bit too responsive. Will you see? Look, it's so. It seems like it's automatically trying to skip over the blooming enemy, but you're trying to lock onto. It's ridiculous. God. I clearly hit him. God, is this hostage really worth it? See, I'm nearly down to my last life already. Oh, God. No, no one in there. Why does it sound so sparse in this? See, look, it's so choppy. Oh, God. Oh. Oh, the controls are sort of alternate between being unresponsive and being too responsive. Oh, blooming hell. Oh, Oh God, why is it so? See, look, it's so choppy. I mean, this is the best section out of all of them, but it's still not saying much. Go through the bloody door. For some reason, I can't go through that door. Maybe that's the one I came at. Oh God, the controls. Oh, move. Will you friggin' move? Oh God, this is really starting to irritate me now. Again, there's no music. Everything just feels so going up. Okay, so I seem to have found a lift. Oh God, the movement of that crosshair is so choppy. I mean, I know the Spectrum was a bit limited with its sound, but it could have surely done a lot better than this, especially on 128K. Oh God! See, look, the crosshair just magically doesn't. Oh God! The crosshair just magically skips over the enemy half the time. Oh God! You probably haven't got a chuffing clue what's going on. Oh God! Move! That damn. Oh God! I don't think I can be bothered with that anymore. While that's the best part of the game as a whole, the overall experience still sucks. I really don't know what to make of this. I don't even know why they even bothered to make the game, to be perfectly honest. I mean, not only is the film it's based on a comedy and not really a film that lends itself to action, despite having some pretty impressive action set pieces in its own right. But the biggest problem is everything's just so drab, and there's no in-game music even on the 128K Spectrum, which is what I'm really looking at here. It's just such an empty game that lacks atmosphere, and there's simply too much that doesn't seem to have an awful lot to do with the film. I mean, the idea of going through the mansion, that sort of happens in the film, but there's no bomb in the film. I guess I can forgive them for adding that to add a little bit of extra tension, but to be perfectly honest, that's if you can even be bothered to get that far in the first place. I know they did something a bit different by making this part of the game first person, but it does need to have controls that work properly. I mean, you can understand how they work, but actually getting them to work is a little bit of a mixed bag. There are times when the controls are super sensitive, and when you're just trying to turn 90 degrees to face a door, and you suddenly end up going through 180 degrees because it suddenly has a moment when it becomes hypersensitive. It becomes a bit annoying and disorientating, especially if you're in an area where there are lots of different exits, and you suddenly lose your bearings and forget which way you are facing because you've turned too far because of this controls suddenly becoming more sensitive for a very brief second. And it seems to be a lot harder than it needed to be to line up the crosshair when you take control of that the moment an enemy appears on the screen. The crosshair seemed to like skipping over the actual enemy while you're trying to scroll across to them. And that isn't ideal when you've got a limited amount of time before you have to kill them, before they start shooting at you. No, I wasn't really impressed with that. So there was some nice use of colour in some of the rooms. I mean, admittedly, this bit out here had to be in monochrome, otherwise there would have been a horrific colour clash. But no, but again, the lack of in-game music and the as in the previous part, the only sound being firing of bullets. Everything just lacks atmosphere and tension. It's just such a shame, especially in this bit, which could have been something really special, and it just isn't. So I'm going to give this section of the game 4 out of 10. This section in particular should have been a lot better and a lot more fun than it really is. And can you imagine how cool it would have been if there could have been a 128k rendition of Harold Faltermeyer's Stakeout tune, for instance, or even the other tune or two that plays during that mansion bit in the film. Anyone who's seen the film will know exactly the music I'm on about. Nah. So I gave parts 1 and 2 3, part 3 2, and this part 4. So on average, that makes the whole of Beverly Hills Cop get 3 out of 10. It all feels a bit disjointed. I mean, and there's a lot that doesn't really have an awful lot to do with the film. I mean, in terms of faithfulness to the film, I think that part 3, the bit where you're actually trying to make your way across the mansion gardens, that's more like an equivalent scene in the film than any of the other 3. I mean, this 4th part comes close, but as I said, there's no bomb aspect in the film, but there is a hostage aspect. But the whole thing just doesn't really yank my crank, and it's just such a shame because the film of Beverly Hills Cop was such a hit, and it's still pretty fun and amusing to watch. And this game it just isn't in the same league. It doesn't do the film justice, and it's just not it just doesn't set the world alight. So 4 out of 10 for Beverly Hills Cop as a whole. Hope you enjoyed that review. Texie88 out.